We're streaming?
We're streaming.
Yeah, hi. All right, here we go.
Okay, now we're going to record.
Okay. You want me to do that?
Ready? Ready?
I think so. How do I do it?
You got to hit the red button. Down.
Where is it? There it
Record
is.
red button.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Nope.
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 Why is it not working?
Brandon just showed me this.
That sometimes.
That, hold on, you got to hit, like, play.
Oh, get it
stop,
like.
Go back and get it to, like, think.
Hey, it went to sleep. Hey, we're ready to start here. You can't just go into record.
We took too long.
These people are sleeping.
Now you can hit it.
All right, here we go.
Unscripted.
Wow, we are live here on the Unscripted podcast where we have not planned anything. Good morning. Good morning, Gisele.
Good morning,
What voice
Andy
was that?
Kerr.
That was
why I didn't have enough coffee yet.
yeah. Well, here we do have
I'm kind of
our,
like that. If you ask any of my employees, I
Mm,
growl a little bit before coffee.
that reminds me of a cat video I just saw.
And this morning has taken me a little while to get around to coffee. Normally, I'm here on like number 2.
Yes.
I'm not
You're
like
usually
I'm not a third of the way through number
bouncing
1. So
into the bouncing into the studio.
I told you last time, I'm a different person without my coffee. Like
I
I
picking up
have
on it.
already done a lot of work. I've been doing grant work and creating ads
Yeah.
and like submitting documents. I've been already doing like a bunch of
Mhm.
stuff since like 6:30 a.m. And so it's not like I need coffee to function. I
No.
need coffee to
To be happy.
socialize with humans. Like I can get work
Yeah.
done without it. But if you want me to be a pleasant person
Mhm.
among citizens,
And I do.
I need coffee.
I do. I'll take you any way
Guess
that you
what?
come into the studio. What?
Guess what today is?
What is today?
Today is
Cinco de
No, that was last
Seis.
week. Stop it. Today is Ayla, my horse's birthday.
We talked about, yay, happy birthday.
I
saw the
know.
picture. She looks gorgeous
She's so
at her
pretty.
age.
Right? She
Mm.
is aging gracefully.
Oh, man.
If anything, she's prettier every year.
It is, she's beautiful.
17,
She really is.
my baby.
Oh my
For
gosh.
those of you who don't know, I bred her mom, and so I've had her since the day she was born.
That's
kept
incredible.
her. And yeah, so she and we've been together 17 years.
Oh.
It's my longest standing relationship so far.
Good job.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I keep her locked up.
I do. I lock her up in a barn so she can't run away from me.
See?
That's why
it's
we're
all about,
still together.
That's why we do this podcast. It's all about strategies, folks. How do you stay together with somebody?
But I'm so excited because she's my baby, and I got her
Mm.
some presents. I got
Oh,
some
what'd you
new-
get her?
I
Oats?
got her. Oh, I should have brought them for like a show and tell on YouTube.
Yeah.
I didn't get her oats. I did get her a
I
bag
don't
of
know
treats.
what you get. Okay. I don't know what you get horses.
Peppermints are her favorite, so
Really?
peppermints are a thing. Yeah, and I got her a purple sparkly halter, and I got like a purple fuzzy halter. So she's got like a summer and a winter.
Does she like purple or do you like
She
purple?
loves purple. She loves her loves going out for rides and stuff.
Mhm.
That she's the kind of horse. Maybe if you're not a horse person, you don't know. A lot of horses will struggle. They don't want to go, and so
Mhm.
they fight with you when you try to put their bridle on. And she doesn't. She puts her head down, like she shoves her face. Like I hold it up, and she shoves her face in it. Yeah, like let's go. We're out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Aw,
Yeah.
that's
So.
adorable.
I know. So
Well,
that's my good news for today.
yay. Well, happy birthday, Ayla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Ayla.
Thanks for bringing so much joy to my friend Gisele. So, I was right before we started this podcast, I was trying to figure out how to lift
Not
the
like
chair
a
up.
long time ago, but literally a few minutes ago.
Like literally, yeah, seconds before we went live. So I was messing with the chair, and I was trying to put it up, and it was lower, and how do you make this? And then you started singing the song.
Did I sing a song?
The Get Lower song,
Oh, Shorty got low, low.
which reminded me of two things.
I
One,
sing so much, I don't even realize I'm singing.
one, it reminded me of the song it's not the most wholesome song,
Right.
To the Window song.
Yeah.
But it was on TikTok, and somebody said if this was done as a musical, and they took the song and they made it. It was beautiful.
Oh my word!
It was hysterical. I was dying.
I feel like you should put that link in the show notes.
Oh my gosh, maybe
so everybody can see
it. The person that did it is brilliant. It was so funny and disturbing all at the same time. The other thing that it reminded me of that song is that I was in the grocery store. This is going to be a weird transition. The person behind the counter was not checking me out, checking my stuff out. I don't know if the other part was happening or not.
The clerk?
The clerk
I don't
was
know
checking.
What are they?
The grocery store.
The scanner technician.
Yes.
I don't know what they call those.
Yes. I don't know either. We probably both should know that. So, maybe I'll put that in the show notes too when I figure it out. They were talking about I said, "How are you doing?" And it's like, "Well, I'm doing better now." I went dance.
Cashier.
Cashier.
It's a cashier.
I just choked.
Anyway, cashier, checking you out.
Checking me out. So, excuse me.
Drink your coffee.
Okay, 1 second.
Because we're not going to edit that out.
No, because we don't know how to edit. So, she said, "Well, I'm doing better now. I was sore." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just trying to make conversation. Oh, that you working out?" She's like, "No, I went dancing." I was like, "Okay." And we seem to be similar aged. And she was like, "Yeah, I can still." I'm sorry.
Get it out.
She says to me in line, she says, "I can still drop it down. I just have trouble getting back up again." It was so awkward.
I know how she feels.
And I just thought, oh my gosh, I laughed about that for the rest of the day. I'm still laughing about it.
It's
I can hardly talk about
heels. Because it's funny, but the baristas and I, we drop it low sometimes behind the counter when a good song comes on. Yeah. And it's almost like a challenge because they're not sure, the older woman in the room can do it. And then you cannot be stood up by 21-year-olds.
No.
So you have to do it. And you can't be, grabbing onto something to get back up. So, man,
well, apparently.
I do it, but I'm like, this is easier in heels.
It was just, I don't know. I found it so humorous that she said
it's
it without.
Unexpected place that somebody's going to say something like that.
Yeah, and
that it takes you off guard. It's not that it's uncommon in conversation.
She said it without flinching, as though it were a thing. You're like, how everybody drops it low. I'm like, I almost don't know what that means. But
when we're twerking, but our back gets thrown out now.
Help me, Jesus. So, oh my gosh, that. Anyways,
unexpected conversations.
Unexpected.
Was that a book you read or wrote?
No. And I shouldn't not expect them anymore because they happen so frequently.
Is that your next book? Conversations and a Point.
Yeah, conversations,
what
unexpected
was the point
conversations.
Of this one?
Yeah, I have no idea. Which we could flow into the podcast more seamlessly if I had thought about it prior to
Possibly.
just going. But I think, excuse me, I'm still.
We're just gonna excuse
I'm still
you.
literally choking over that incident. So here's the thing. I'm gonna do my best right now.
Right now.
Right now.
We're at 8 minutes in.
Yes.
You're gonna do it right now.
Yeah. Usually it's 25 minutes in before we get to the point. So where do you find yourself in life? Do you find yourself
dropping it low?
Trying to do the things that you had done before and finding yourself stuck. So
that's a good one.
Sort of.
I like that one.
But I was thinking about this the other day because I was watching this. The friend of ours has kids who were running track, and I saw it on they posted about it. And I used to run track, and I was asked what are the events that he was running. One of them was one that I used to do, the 4x400 meters, right? That was my favorite race. It was you wanted to die after it every time. Let's one full sprint, one lap around the track at top speed, right? And usually you vomit after you do that. Yeah, at least I did. That was my MO. And it was my favorite race. It was the hardest race that I did. It was the longest one that I did because I was a sprinter, and I loved it. I was thinking to myself after I watched the post, how fast could I run the 400 meters now if I just went and tried it? And I'm gonna
Did you try it, or you're gonna try it?
I think I'm going to try it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll come in. Maybe you could time me.
Sure.
And then
I would love to watch you die at the end of a run.
If I'm doing this for an audience, I will probably go as hard as I can, and then I probably will vomit, which maybe you shouldn't film.
I'll probably just edit that. Like, it'll be like shooting rainbows coming out of your mouth.
That's awesome. So I was thinking about life is this progression of things that we're obsessed about, love to do, things that, and we transition.
Yeah.
I still run, but I don't. There's not a lot of sprinting events for 50-year-olds. They're just
weird.
There's just long distance events. I can go run 100 miles, which I'm going to try to do this year.
Because over 50, you've learned the long game.
Whoa! I think you just blew my mind. I think if you're 50, you've already been playing the long game. Oh, it feels like it sometimes.
I can definitely bring it back around to my horse. I can apply this. I was just thinking yesterday because I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous weather. Mm-hmm. I should totally go for a ride, me and my horse, on her 17th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
However, we haven't made a spring ride yet.
Oh.
Because the ground has been so terrible. And we don't have an arena. So, so we got to wait for the ground to be okay. And the trails I have to ride on are state trails. So you can't be messing those up, because if you mess them up, they'll revoke riding privileges.
Oh, geez.
Like if you leave horse prints, it's happened before in other places I've been where, disrespectful horse riders don't care. They tear it up for the walkers and the joggers and the bikers.
Oh.
And so that's why like ATVs aren't allowed on these trails, right? Because they'll tear up the trails when it's soft. Well, horses do the same thing, but if they don't have a problem with the horse people tearing up the trails, they let them ride on them.
Yeah.
So we have to be very cautious that we don't screw up the trails, because we don't want to screw up that privilege that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even just the property, like the pastures and stuff. You don't want to ride in the pastures because they're already, icky enough over the winter.
Right.
But you don't want to mess up the fields that are just around there, because if you pockmark and then the ground hardens,
then
you can't ride on them because your horse will twist their ankle.
Yeah,
so
horribly unstable.
Yeah, so it's like this crux of, if you don't have an arena, like you are subject to not just the weather, but the ground conditions as well.
Wow.
So we have not had our first spring ride. And I say that because anyone who knows horses knows your horse is going to be particularly spunky for the first spring ride.
Oh,
right?
Spunky.
Spunky. Yeah. Now, if we'd been riding in an arena all winter, she would keep her training up and whatever. But no, even if they are training, that first spring ride, they are so excited.
Oh, they go out harder than they should.
They are excited. She's spunky. She's kicking. She's bucking. She wants to run.
Yeah.
And my horse loves running. And usually I love running with her. But like running and bucking, like...
It's a lot of, it's like a workout for both rider and horse.
For sure.
Yeah.
And mind you, I'm a very good rider.
Yeah.
And she has never thrown me off.
Which is good.
Yeah, which is great. But I'm also a cautious rider. I know the conditions that she will get worked up in. I don't ride in those. Like if it's very windy, she'll get too much anxiety about everything blowing around, right? She's paranoid.
I learn a lot
do that.
from you about horses.
Yeah. So the conditions got to be just right. Can't be too many people in the woods, because again, it's state park, and if there's too many people, they don't know horses.
Right.
And so they don't interact correctly. They just run up. Little kids run up right in front of your horse. And like,
that could be the last thing they run up.
My horse is going to pounce on you. Yeah.
That'd be the last thing you run up on.
So there's just all these different things that I'm looking for to have a great ride. And I want that first ride to be very successful. It might only be 5 or 10 minutes, because I'm like, we're going to do a lap.
Yeah.
And it's going to be successful. And so as long as you always end on a good point with a horse, like the next ride will be better. I'm like,
interesting.
I'm torn between wanting to go for a ride terribly
like a
on her
ride,
birthday. Like a ride, like go for a trail ride. And then having to combat my age, right? So just like the woman who wanted to drop it low and can't get back up, I'm thinking, like, I know I can ride well enough to hold on and deal with her, because our last ride of the season didn't go so hot, and then I didn't get to get back on and go for a different ride because the weather just turned crappy.
Yeah.
So she didn't throw me off then, but she almost threw me off. Like, that was the closest she'd ever been.
Wow.
She got spooked a couple times by some lawnmowers, and so anyway, I was sore for days, right?
Really?
So I am sitting back like, can I handle the fight enough to, like, can I handle being sore and hurt and potentially injured? Because there's always a risk. No matter what sport you do, even if you're running, sprinting, you could tear your muscle.
You could step on a rock and twist your, Yeah,
so there's always room for injury, and no matter what you're
Living.
Yeah, there's potential. So, but knowing I'm directly putting myself in harm's way
like you're
is
getting
the problem.
on an enormous animal
that is going to want to buck and kick and run, and I need to hold on, control her, and that's it. Would be easier to do if I could exercise her in an arena first. So, to your point of aging, I never would have thought of something like this when I was younger.
Yeah.
I literally got on and rode. It didn't matter. That's why I'm a good rider today. I rode anything, rode whatever horse people threw at me, and stop it. Can't with this guy.
It's still choking on my coffee.
I'm going to make you choke on something. So I'd had no fear when I was younger. And then over the age, like after the brain developed, after 26, I was like, maybe I shouldn't just ride every stupid horse that comes along. And so I started thinking about, now I'm running a business. You know, I've got responsibilities.
There's so many analogies here.
So many.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to keep with my story.
Yeah.
So as I keep aging, the threat of injury is more prominent. Because I have even more irons in the fire, per se. I'm running multiple businesses.
More is at risk.
Yes, more is at risk. So if I'm injured, in, let's say, you know, aside from death, if I'm injured to the capacity I can't run my business, or I need other people that are not in place to run my business. And then I think, what if I did die? Like, what if I fell and broke my neck? Do I have everything in place? I'm like, when's the last time I updated my will? Who's going to get my, you know, it's like these are the things you think about as you age. You're like,
as you're sitting on an enormous beast.
And I don't necessarily think of that every time I ride.
Go for a trail ride now. Have I updated my will?
But the first ride of the season, because it is so much more dangerous. Usually the first and kind of last rides, because of the weather and the conditions, and when the ground's slippery, there's a higher risk for injury. And then I think, what if my horse gets injured? She's aging, you know, and I'm like, so maybe can I afford the vet bills? Can I afford having her down all summer? And anyway, there's like a million questions that you don't ask when you're young and blissfully ignorant of the dangers of life. And I would
odds would have it, generally speaking, that it works out in
I don't get injured. I mean, but usually I'm just very sore for a few days. But even then, I'm like, what do I have to do in the next few days? Am I speaking at an engagement? Like, there's things I need to be able to walk up the stairs, you know, things like that. But
I remember after I did that, my first real attempt at the 100-mile run, I got 77 miles, and I could not move for 3 whole days. You know, that makes an impact, especially now, like that I have a cleaning business. Like if I'm the backup, right? So if somebody goes down,
okay. And now that you know, because you've experienced that, like, what do you do if someone goes down and I'm down? You know what I mean? You figure it out, you manage it. I've been there, and that was one of my responsibilities that I got to give up this past fall, and now I don't have to think about that. So literally, I'm like less worried because I don't have the nighttime weekend responsibilities. I just have the cafe. I do have enough people that technically they could all go in and run it.
You can make it work. And I think so. This is interesting. I appreciate you sharing that, because I feel like we're always in this podcast, we're always going to get somewhere.
Eventually.
Somewhere. Starting with dropping it low, and then horse riding. But like that idea, when you're young, sometimes I'll hear if I'm coaching somebody that's younger, like, man, I'm thinking about just giving up everything and going and doing this thing. I'm like, well, one, what are you giving up? Rent? You got.
How do you give that up? Let me know.
And I've been telling you should give that car up. So like a piece of junk, like you, what you have to give up early on really is not nearly the kind of stuff, when people take risks, like when somebody moves a job and they have 3 kids, so 2 are at college, 1's in high school. I think about my buddy Damon, who's got 3. He's got 1 in college. He's got 1 just ready to graduate. He's got another who's grown and on his own. He's got a house. There's responsibilities. He's got, a couple of jobs, consulting business. Like there's more. Like if you shift it, there's a greater impact, if your horse, if he gets injured, if you like, that's a good portion of what you love to do.
Yes.
With your free time.
And
that brings you like
if she were injured, that time I would have to go to take care of her.
Yeah.
And that would be a lot of time.
And it's emotionally
the rest of my life. Yes.
Yeah,
and it would affect every part of my life.
Yeah.
And those are things that you don't calculate
no.
when you're younger
right.
or when you're starting out. And, to the point of maybe, like you had said about that lady about things you used to do and you get stuck doing them now. Yeah, it could be either way.
What else can I do while I'm down here?
It could be either way. Like I've been riding horse since I was 15 and it's not that I'm stuck, but I have to calculate the risks associated more now because of what I do. But if you put it in the other perspective of like, if you've been doing this for so long, but now you're stuck, and you need to rethink of how you're doing it, that kind of puts us both in the same position because I have to rethink when, how, why, how often, you know what I mean? How often am I willing to put myself in that position? Because I would, in a sense, get stuck with the responsibilities not being taken care of and being put upon somebody else. And that's essentially what she meant, She's like, I'm stuck. I'm going to get hurt. I'm down. I'm doing this.
Right.
I've always been able to do it.
Should I go down there because
I can look like a fool getting back up, but to look cool, I'm going to injure myself, right?
That's that just makes me laugh. So but my dad always says, he's at he always says, well, I'm starting to get to the age that when I bend down, I want to think about what else I could do while I'm down there.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I'm sure other people are, considering these things without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure that I am aware all the time of the things I choose to do. But there's that little part in your brain that's like kind of like, should I go out on a Saturday night at 11 o'clock?
Right.
And immediately I'm like, what do I have to do on Sunday morning?
Right.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to open up the shop. I need to bake cake. I got to, X, Y, Z.
And before you're like, they just go.
Right. And you're like, okay, well, if I spent an hour, how much peer pressure can I withstand to not stay out? Like,
right.
these are the things you have to calculate.
And your willpower is always lower.
Is anybody out there with us right now? Like,
are we just talking to ourselves?
Can you feel this problem? And are you experiencing it? And what are you experiencing it? But it's a real thing. I don't think this is something we ever talked about.
No.
Like the responsibility of your life and your business and how that plays a role in what you decide to do with your extracurricular time.
I already know what the title of the podcast is going to be.
Oh, yeah, you do.
So, but I like it's funny because I like to make these analogies. I like to think about and I feel like there's always wisdom to be gained in life, and it's hilarious to think about it from this vantage point.
So, I mean, on a positive note, though, it's not wrong, right? We're going to age. It's what we all do. We all have to do that.
Yeah.
And maybe not even just aging physically, but like your business, if it's maturing and rapidly, and you have to decide what you can and can't do in order to support the growth of that business. There's been times in my life I'm kind of in that time, and that's why I think I'm thinking about it so much. I'm hyper about it. Is I'm on this precipice where I'm about to mentor to scale my business in a new direction and doing new things with it. And I'm very excited about that. And so in my personal life, I'm like, I want to go skydiving again. I want to ride my horse a lot. I want to do some, I'm a thrill kind of seeker, right?
Yeah.
I like doing thrilling things.
Too.
Yes, both of us. But now I'm kind of like, should I just like play it safe? I'm just going to ride her around the pasture a few times and get the kinks. You know what? Maybe I'll just hire somebody. This was my other thought. I'll just hire somebody because there's people that do that.
Yeah.
And I'll just hire them to go for her first few rides.
Your 19-year-old self would totally done that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I did it back then, you know?
And there are some 19-year-old like you, young Gisele.
Yes.
Younger Gisele.
They can handle being thrown around a little bit better. They can. I fell off a horse a gazillion times.
Yeah.
And thankfully have not done that in a lot of years because of wisdom and riding ability.
You get better at it.
And you get good enough to know you don't want to put yourself in the situation if you don't have to.
Right.
So I'm kind of like, maybe I'll just hire somebody and they can get the kicks out of her, and then I'll just go have a fun ride.
Yes.
And it's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I'm afraid of being sore or like out of shape. I am out of shape. Like I've spent all winter not riding. Like I'm out of riding shape. There's a lot of muscles that you work in riding that you lose when it's like just
you
like
can
anything.
go to the gym and run and lift, but that doesn't.
You skip 60 days and it's going to hurt doing the same thing when you get back to it, right?
Absolutely.
So it's so there's this period of time that you have to reacclimate and get stronger and everything. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I have so many things on my plate that I want to work towards in my career and stuff right now. And this has happened a few times for me. And so I just encourage everybody out there who might be going through one of those things, like whether you're having kids or your business is growing or, there's some kind of life family change. Maybe you got divorced or like whatever it is. There's this ebb and flow of when you get to focus on your business more and you have to put aside like your personal activities and stuff. And then you get to like kind of coast on your business is going well or life is pretty smooth. And so you get to really hyper in on all your fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in that place though. Yeah. Like I'm deciding, right? And because I haven't really started the work of developing the new part of the business that I'm going to be mentoring for. So I'm kind of like, I feel like I have a couple months I can cheat in. Yeah. But if I get hurt. Yeah. Or if she gets hurt, like that's going to set me back from working on those things. And I don't want it to stop me from doing that. It's not going to stop me from riding. I'm going to ride.
And I think that's my question.
I just have to make a plan.
Right. And that's my that's my question for people that's really coming in this conversation.
Yeah.
That we
if they are still following along.
That we have not scripted.
Right.
But that I feel like in our experience, whatever your experience is, we have a tendency. There's two things that I think human beings really love and want to be a part of their life. One of those things is security, and one of those things is like new and excitement and thrill and adventure.
Yeah.
And we
the yin yang of
it. And we need both. But oftentimes we're heavy on the thrill-seeking side when we're young,
right.
And then we're more on the security side. And I think naturally. But I would challenge.
That's because
folks,
somebody else is taking care of our security when we're younger. We got our parents and
there's safety nets. There's
maybe you get married and your spouse is that it for you, or you're an employee, not the boss.
You get passes.
There's little safety nets.
Yeah. But also, I think one of the things that really helps us grow and continue to live long lives and be vibrant is to take risks in what we do and to try new things. So like things like riding your horse longer in your life keep you young and fit and like energized and in a good mental space. Like, so we've got to figure out how do we continue to manage our security and not become so secure that we don't try new things and take risks. So even after 50, you can still drop it low, but you're going to have to do some yoga first.
That's what I'm saying, right? You got to plan for it. Yeah. Like if you're going to do it,
to start taking yoga. If you want to go out
you got to be
and
ready
dance,
for it.
You got to get ready.
Yes.
Right.
And that's just like if I want to go and ride, you know, a wily little horse, she needs to exercise because she could get injured. I need to work with her a little bit, do some exercises, start off light. And I started exercising again, like pointedly for riding. So there's a lot more like the thigh machines, right? You got to really work on that. You got to work on your core. So I'm doing.
Get an old Jeep and drive around.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot more core yoga to try and strengthen my core back up. So there's that so that I can try and help prevent injury. But, you know, the unknown can happen. And I want to be prepared for that too. And it's just in my mind that I'm like, I haven't actually prepared my personal life in case something happens to me. And I would hate for my family to be left picking up any pieces because I was not responsible. When I already know, again, I know the risk is there.
So what adventure, for anybody out there, what adventure do you want to prepare for?
That's a great idea. Yeah, like actually preparing for the adventure.
Yeah.
Even if you go on vacation, like you don't know, anything could happen anytime. So like, and then even on a small scale, you know, like maybe you want to go mountain biking or something like that, you know?
Yeah, and even if you want to be spontaneous about it, I think there's generally things that you can do to be ready, money saved away, you know, be in shape, get, you know, like take care of your health, you know, you're having responsibilities covered so that
you don't get stuck.
Yeah, so you're ready.
You know how to get
if you have
out
to
of the
spontaneously
situation.
drop low. You want to be able to get back up. Oh my gosh, I think we've exhausted that.
Did that make sense? I feel like it kind of made some sense.
Well, I think
it's honest anyway. I'm being honest with people here.
Yes.
Like, it's one of those things that I don't really talk about with people, but it's like constantly like playing in my mind. And I'm sure other people think this way.
Well, and I think we get scared as human beings as we get older that we don't want stuff to happen, and it's easier just not to do things. And so we take the safe route, the chair.
Or maybe because you had kids, like you want to get back to something, and it's been 20 years, and you're like, can I even do it now?
Yes.
And that's where I'm coming into the planning. Like maybe I can hire somebody, you know, to get the kinks out of my horse.
To jump out of a plane for you.
Right, not that.
Oh, that looked fun.
But if it's going to be something you're not sure of your ability, you know, to just make a plan for that and to know you can like start slowly or, you know, whatever.
It's like hiring a trainer for your horse.
I mean, it helps that I've had her for 17 years. I know everything about her. I know how she reacts to everything, which is why she has never thrown me off because literally I'm the only person. I broke her, whatever you want to call it, breaking. Like I literally just got on and started riding. She was amazing because we've been together since she was born. And so she and we can read each other so well that it's a different kind of a relationship. You know what I mean? So
adorable.
there's that comfort in knowing that.
It makes me want to have a horse.
Until you see me being thrown around.
Well, I have my own intense fear of horses. I've told that story. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Ayla.
Yeah.
And to the cashier.
May
you have many dancing opportunities in the future. And for all of you that are wanting to do something, to take the risk, to step out, what do you have to do? What are you wanting to do? We'd love to hear that.
Yeah, how can you prepare for that?
What's your adventure that you really want to do that you've been thinking about? Maybe scared to do but want to do. And then maybe we can even help you. Maybe
you should write a will first or just hire another employee because I think that's what I'm like. My hindrance is like I'm one employee short. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I need to hire somebody.
Yep. Then you're good.
And then I'll be fine.
Yep. Oh, that's awesome. Well, we love you all. Thank you for joining us on this podcast where we have no idea what we're talking about until we talk about it.
And we hope you enjoy it. Go do the 5-star like thing.
Yes,
review
please.
us. Share us. We're on a whole bunch of platforms. And if you haven't seen our lovely faces yet, go to YouTube. Unscripted. .live, our website. You can find all the links there. And is that it? I think that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Bye.
We're done. Peace out.